me now from Capitol Hill, North Carolina Republican Congressman Mark Meadows. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, chairman as well of the Freedom Caucus. Congressman Meadows, thanks very much for joining us today. One of the key issues tonight. Great to be with you. One of the key issues tonight is going to be health care, the replacement plan. This is an issue on which you disagree with the president, particularly as it relates to tax credits. Tell us why.
Well, I don't disagree with the president. The president's been very consistent to say that he wants to make sure that more people are covered at a lower cost. Really, the position we've taken is one in support of a plan that actually does exactly what the president wants. It happens to disagree with our leadership, primarily because the leadership plan, as I see it, doesn't really affect the overall health care costs. It doesn't drive it down for my constituents, and yet at the same time to replace the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, with another federal program that doesn't work actually won't affect moms and dads on Main Street. So for me, it's not at odds with the president as much as it is at odds with the tactic that we're trying to do right now in implementing a replacement that only partially repeals and partially replaces.
But if the president is, if our reporting is correct, moving towards the leadership's plan here, you've said you would vote against that plan. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I can tell you there's a number of reasons why I would vote against it that I believe is consistent with where the president is. You know, when we look at the plan about taxing the hardworking American taxpayers that have employer-based health insurance, to be able to give us subsidies to people that may be millionaires that don't need the subsidy, that's a non-starter for me. It should be a non-starter for all Americans, but I can tell you it's a non-starter for the president as well. We're about making sure that it's affordable and providing a safety net that's there for all of those people that perhaps can't afford health insurance now.
We did a little research and found that there are more than 40,000 people in your district who currently take advantage of Obamacare, of the Affordable Care Act. What do you say to them, to those constituents who are concerned they won't have health insurance if the current plan disappears?
Well, I've made a very strong commitment. There's three things. One, in North Carolina, if you did your research, you'll realize that insurance rates have gone up at 35%, and again 30% this year, so that's unsustainable. So we're trying to drive the cost of health care down. The other part of that is all about the pre-existing conditions and making sure that insurance companies can't kick people off. I've made a commitment here on CNN to make sure that we address those things, so any replacement plan will actually help those constituents, the 40,000 that you mentioned, and drive health care down so that they don't have to make a decision between paying for their insurance and a mortgage.
Let me ask you this, because another big issue tonight may very well come up in this speech is the president's budget plan. He's talking about adding $54 billion increase to the defense budget, built in part on cuts, particularly large cuts to the State Department, other agencies and departments. We heard just a short time ago from Senator Lindsey Graham, of course, a Republican. He said that budget, in his words, is dead on arrival in the Senate. I imagine you've had a look at the president's budget outlines. Would you vote for or against the president's budget as it stands?
You know, I support the president's effort to increase the spending for our military, and I talked to Director Mulvaney last night about the budget proposal that has come across. Now, Lindsey Graham nor myself has seen the details of that on what gets cut. We do know that $54 billion gets added to the military, and so as we start to look at that, the Senate will work on their budget, the House will work on ours, and hopefully all together we'll be able to reconcile it together. But I applaud the president for putting forth a conservative plan that strengthens our military. The devil will be in the details, and we'll see that in the days and weeks to come. But as we look at that, when we're working on the budget here, I look forward to working very closely with the president and the new director, Mick Mulvaney, on providing a conservative solution that actually reprioritizes what the spending and the type of spending that goes on here in Washington, D.C.
But to be fair, Congressman, one pretty big detail already out there, and that is a significant increase to the defense budget, which sounds like you support, but built on as much as a 30% cut to the State Department budget. Is that a fair trade-off in your view?
Well, again, you and I both have not seen the details, Jim, because I know that they're not out there because I asked for those last night so that I can make an informed decision on that. I can tell you I'm a foreign policy guy. I see the value in the State Department and a number of the issues there, but I also understand where some of the weaknesses are within the State Department and where we're spending money and not providing a return. And so it's critically important before we make a pass or fail on that budget to look at the details. And so as we do that, not forming any opinion today based on just a few talking points, it's important that we look specifically at the numbers, Jim.
Congressman Mark Meadows, thanks very much.
It's great.